Rafael Nadal under threat. Sinner has already surpassed Federer, Djokovic, and Murray in a key Grand Slam stat, a record held by Nadal, but Alcaraz might even break Rafa's record. The race for the tennis history books is more open than ever. Amidst a golden generation that hasn't said its last word, Jannik Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz are competing for more than just trophies. They're starting to rewrite the legacies of the greatest. One of them, Rafael Nadal, may soon see one of his most difficult records within reach, by another Spaniard. The stat that puts Sinner ahead of almost everyone. Jannik Sinner's triumph at Wimbledon not only earned him his fourth Grand Slam title but also marked a statistical milestone that places him ahead of legends like Roger Federer, Novak Djokovic, and Andy Murray. The Italian has already played 100 matches in Grand Slam tournaments, with a record of 81 wins and just 19 losses. A stat only Rafael Nadal had bettered, winning 86 of his first 100 Grand Slam matches. What's most surprising is that neither Federer, 80, Djokovic, 79, nor Murray, 77, could achieve such a win rate in that stretch of their careers. Sinner, who has already won 3 of the 4 majors, only missing Roland Garros, has shown not just consistency, but a competitive maturity that puts him statistically among the best starts in history. Alcaraz, the only one who could break it all. However, Nadal's record might truly be in danger. And the threat comes from very close by. Carlos Alcaraz, who has already played 90 Grand Slam matches, holds an astonishing record, 77 wins and 13 losses. That means if the Spaniard wins the upcoming US Open, he would reach 84 wins before his 100th match, surpassing the records of Sinner, Djokovic, and Federer. From there, everything would depend on the 2026 Australian Open, where he would have the opportunity to reach 100 matches with at least 87 wins. And also surpass Nadal. It won't be easy, but with the pace he's on, the possibility is on the table. With Rafael Nadal retired for a year now, the legacy he left behind is by no means secure. Sinner has already come knocking loudly. And Alcaraz, at just 21 years old, may be about to kick the door down. Carlos Alcaraz will not play in Canada due to muscle problems. Physical issues have forced Carlos Alcaraz to withdraw from the Masters 1000 in Canada. Carlos Alcaraz, the Mercian who has dazzled with his game and energy throughout much of the year, announced his withdrawal from the Toronto Masters 1000. The Spaniard's decision, driven by the need to recover both physically and mentally, leaves his Canadian fans longing to see him on court. The demands of professional tennis offer no respite, and Alcaraz has felt it firsthand. After several consecutive weeks of intense competition, Carlitos decided to take a break to protect his health, announcing his absence from the imminent Canadian Masters 1000. After many weeks of consecutive competition without rest, I won't be able to play in Toronto this year, the Spaniard announced, making it clear that the accumulation of matches has taken its toll. The main reason for his withdrawal centers on physical issues and the need for a pause. I have some minor muscle problems and need to recover physically and mentally for what's ahead. The withdrawal of the current world number 2 is a tough blow for the Toronto Masters 1000, which was counting on the charismatic player's presence. I'm very sorry for the tournament and my fans in Canada. Alcaraz expressed regret for not being able to compete, but he also left a promise for the future. See you next year. When does Carlos Alcaraz play his next match? His debut at the ATP Cincinnati 2025. The Mercian is taking a few days off after Wimbledon and preparing for the decisive stretch of summer, Cincinnati and the US Open 2025. After his recent loss in the Wimbledon final to Sinner, Alcaraz has opted to prioritize physical and mental rest, skipping a tournament that historically hasn't suited him. A modest track record in the Toronto ATP, the Canadian Masters 1000, held this year from July 27 to August 7, has never been a particularly favorable ground for the Spanish player. In 2022, he lost the final to Tommy Paul, who eliminated him again in the 2023 quarterfinals. In 2024, he had already skipped the tournament due to physical strain from an especially demanding season marked by the Olympics. The US Open, the top priority. Beyond the Masters 1000 events, all eyes are on the US Open, where Carlos Alcaraz aims to reclaim glory. The New York tournament holds a special emotional value for him, as it was where he won his first Grand Slam title. Additionally, the fast court conditions and electrifying atmosphere tend to enhance his offensive style and ability to connect with the crowd. After a season of ups and downs, with big titles but also unexpected losses, the Spaniard comes in hungry for revenge after losing the Wimbledon final. The goal? To finish the summer with another Grand Slam title on his resume. Carlos Alcaraz opens up about his prodigy brother. He plays well, but he's not the best yet. Jamie, the younger brother of the current world number 2, is starting to show his talent on the junior circuit, but Carlos urges people to tone down the hype. Jaime Alcaraz is only 14, but he's already starting to attract attention. The younger brother of Carlitos, the current world number 2 and 5-time Grand Slam champion, is showing flashes of talent on the junior tour. He trains seriously, wins matches, and recently, footage of him practicing at La Manga Club, the same high-performance center where Carlos trains, went viral. But while social media begins crafting the narrative of the next Alcaraz, Carlos himself has spoken up. He doesn't want his brother carrying a burden that isn't his. He plays well, but he's not the best yet. In statements from last year, the Mercian was clear. Honestly, he plays well, I won't lie. He's reaching a good level, he said. But he made it clear that he's uncomfortable with the pressure starting to surround the teenager. There are a lot of people around, lots of videos and social media accounts saying he's going to be just like his brother. And I don't like that, honestly, he confessed. I just want everyone and all the social media to leave him alone, because he plays well, but he's not the best yet, explained the Spaniard. Alcaraz shows his pride. Despite the noise, Carlos expressed pride in his brother's passion. He loves tennis. Whenever he can, he asks my dad to go hit some balls. For me, that's the most important thing, he revealed. I'm a bit concerned about the people who will be around him during tournaments, who will go watch him because he's my brother, and that will probably put pressure on him, he stated. Still, he hopes they might one day face each other on court, but there's no rush. We'll see how he handles it. I'll be there for him, of course, let's see if he keeps improving, and hopefully one day I can play against him, he said. Carlos Alcaraz shakes up the calendar with an unexpected decision. The Mercian listens to his body and prioritizes rest to be in top form for the US Open. The Toronto Masters 1000, July 27 to August 7, will be one of the big victims of the demanding tennis calendar, coming just 2 weeks after Wimbledon. While there was talk about Alcaraz's opportunity to close the gap to world number 1, especially with confirmed absences of Jannik Sinner, Novak Djokovic, and Jack Draper, now, Carlos Alcaraz's own withdrawal, as reported by Marca, adds to the list. Alcaraz has listened to his body and will prioritize rest to arrive in peak condition for the US Open, the last Grand Slam of the season, scheduled from August 24 to September 7. Carlitos will resume training next week, focusing on fitness, but isn't expected to pick up a racket until Monday, July 28. Toward the end of that week, he'll travel to Cincinnati to play the Masters 1000 before the New York Major, August 7 to 18. World number 1 possibilities. In the Ohio tournament, he'll be accompanied by coach Samuel Lopez, and in New York, Juan Carlos Ferrero will take over. Both coaches were together with him at Roland Garros and Wimbledon. The player from El Palmar knows that ending the season as world number 1 is in his hands. He's currently leading the 2025 race with a 1,540-point margin over Jannik Sinner, his closest rival. Alcaraz, who recently spent some vacation days in Cadiz, faces the challenge of entering the final stretch of the season fully recharged. At the US Open, he'll have the first mathematical opportunity to reclaim the top spot in men's tennis. He's defending just 50 points compared to Sinner's 2,000. Across the entire American swing, he's defending only 60 points, including the 10 from Cincinnati. Jannik, meanwhile, will lose 200 for skipping Canada and has 3,000 to defend from his Cincinnati and US Open titles. Toronto will be the second TMS tournament the Mercian misses this season after the Mutua Madrid Open, which he skipped due to a muscle injury. He also didn't play in Montreal last season, but that was due to the proximity of the Paris Olympics. His last appearance in Canada was in 2023, when he reached the quarters against Tommy Paul. The next big rival to challenge Sinner and Alcaraz emerges, as the search continues for a worthy rival to join Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner at the Tennis Summit. ATP players point to one standout, João Fonseca. World tennis currently has 2 stars clearly ahead of the rest, Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner. They've split the last Grand Slams between them and right now have no true rival. Matches between them reach a different level, epic battles like we saw at Wimbledon recently or at Roland Garros weeks earlier. Their rivalry recalls the early 2000s clashes between Roger Federer and Rafa Nadal. For the Spanish and Swiss legends to become the icons they are, Novak Djokovic's rise was key in forming the Big Three. That's why there's anticipation now for a third name to emerge alongside Alcaraz and Sinner, and one name stands out above the rest. Carlos Alcaraz was born in 2003, so he's only 22, Sinner is 24. Both are still very young, but their generational peers haven't yet stepped up. For Alcaraz, Holger Rune is a peer, but he's missing something. The same goes for Jack Draper, Sinner's contemporary, or Lorenzo Musetti, somewhere between the two. However, the real talent might come from a younger generation, specifically, 2007. His name is João Fonseca, and he's about to turn 19. A major breakthrough, still needing the next step. Fonseca is still developing, but he has already had standout moments this season. At the Australian Open, he made headlines by defeating a top 10 player, Andrei Rublev, in the first round, and he won the ATP 250 in Buenos Aires. Since then, he's had some setbacks, although he's continued rising in the rankings, currently at number 46, and climbing. The expectations surrounding him have no ceiling. In fact, fellow players are the first to name the Brazilian as one to watch. Australian player Luke Saville said, "Everyone's looking at Fonseca as the next rival to Alcaraz and Sinner. Right now it's Carlos and Jannik, and then there's a big gap. Now the key is whether the young talent from Rio can handle those massive expectations and deliver." Here's Alcaraz's plan to prepare for the US Open. He hasn't picked up the racket yet. Pedro Fulana reveals on El Larguero the intentions of Alcaraz regarding his hard court preparation. The last image we have of Carlos Alcaraz is from the Wimbledon final, smiling from ear to ear despite losing to Sinner. The Spaniard expressed satisfaction with his performance on London grass and considered the loss to the Italian a valuable learning experience for the future.